I mean, AI has been wonderful, right? AI has accelerated the pace of development. And AI has helped us tackle things that previously we said we couldn't tackle, right? I mean, it's been really, really good at reading unstructured data and turning it into structured data. It's been really good at allowing us to mine 95% of the data that we couldn't mine before, and that's been really, really nice.
Welcome to Insurance Shoptalk. This is the podcast where the world of commercial insurance gets a little closer to home. I'm your host, Eric Stein, and in every episode, we're taking a deep dive into the insurance industry, from the latest news and trends to in-depth interviews with InsureTech experts, carriers, and agency newsmakers. We're covering it all. So sit back, tune in, and let's start the conversation. Guys, today we've got James Benham. We're graced by his presence, the InsureTech Geek Podcast host, author, business owner. What else, James? What did I miss?
All kinds of fun stuff. Just pilot. I always like to mention that since flying's my real extreme passion. So, dad. Two amazing teenage daughters, one about to be 20, but anyway, having all kinds of fun.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you coming on. You're out of Texas, right?
College Station, Texas.
Nice. Um, so James, I'm excited to have you on just because of your background in the work comp side and all the entrepreneurial things you've been up to. And so we'll kind of jump around a little bit, go through all that you've been up running in terms of, technology, in systems design, how to help the property and casualty and MGA wholesale agencies out in the future. So you want to kind of go through a little bit about, your elevator pitch and your background a little bit?
Sure, yeah. Been in business exactly 25 years a couple weeks ago. So company turned 25 in April of 2001.
Congrats. That's a feat right there.
Thanks. Yeah. Continuous 25 years of continuous business. And I walked out of my dorm room 25 years ago, my senior year at Texas A&M, the world's finest institute of higher education. And I said, I want to go start a business. And I called my dad and I said, I want to start a business. And of course, he had been a serial entrepreneur. And drove down to the county courthouse and started this company and had no idea what I was going to do other than build software and websites for people. The website thing was for a few years back when you could make money building websites, and had a great time. It was a lot of days were terrible, but I mean, not making money for several years was terrible. We made money, but itty bitty amounts, barely enough to pay rent. But 3 years later, in 2004, I discovered insurance. A friend of mine he was an M&A guy, and he bought an insurance company, and he said, hey, man, I need help with their software. They're kind of a mess. And so we jumped in, bid on the work and got it, and then went to work. And so ever since then, 25 years of business, 22 of which have been in insurance, we've built a lot of software now for the insurance industry. Started out building portals and websites and data integrations, and then launched into core system maintenance and management, ancillary management, working on, old proprietary policy administration systems and old proprietary claims administration systems, and then building new ones, and then worked for a couple PBMs, pharmacy benefit management companies, built those from the ground up, worked for you name it, we've probably built it. Worked for a couple brokers building systems around their construction risk practices. Worked for multiple carriers, multiple TPAs, multiple ancillary service providers in the comp space, and just a string of these. And we still are heavily involved with a hardcore handful of clients plus others. And then, a couple of years after that, 2006, through the construction risk groups of these companies, I got into construction pre-qualification and bidding and built a product. My first one that actually sold, because I had a about four products that we built. And by product, I mean in insurance, when you say product, you know what you're talking about. And in technology, when you say product, I'm talking about a software, software as a service product, something you subscribe to on the web. And so I built a few of those, and my team and I did. And by that point, we were probably about 50 people, 2004. And we built this construction risk and bidding product called Smart Bid, and it took off. And so from 2006 to 2018, 12 years, we got 1,200 major general contractors, a 250,000 subcontractors to use this platform and pay us, and it was great. While we did that, I worked for just two insurance companies, building a lot of proprietary bespoke solutions. And then I sold that company in 2018, SmartBid, sold it to a big competitor of mine. And then I said, hey, we're going to all in focus just on like pure insurance product, not the ancillary stuff. And we're just pure play. And so we decided to build Terra, which is our core system for originally SIFs and SIGs, and then small regional TPAs, and now some larger organizations that really wanted a reasonably priced product that would guarantee the implementation, that would get into the market and actually do what they say they were going to do. We don't collect any money until our systems are live. We don't charge setup fees or implementation fees. We stepped in and said, hey, we're going to be a different kind of software company in the space for claims and policy, the core system. And so we run several good sized TPAs and programs. Through our TPAs, we run several programs per TPA. So between all of them, we've got a couple dozen programs that we do policy admin and claims for on Terra, and then we've got a couple dozen, probably about a dozen major companies that we still build professional services stuff for in the original company JBK. They're two separate businesses, but that's what I've been doing now for a long time, 25 years, is chasing it down. And I learned the insurance industry from the inside out. I did not go and become an underwriter or a claims adjuster, but if you made me sit down and adjudicate a claim today, I could probably do it. I'm not licensed. I could get licensed pretty quickly. And that's what we did. Mainly claims and then policy, and had a lot of fun along the ride. Met a ton of amazing people. Go to a lot of work comp conferences. Go to a lot of insurance. Just got it back from REMS in Philadelphia, and do a lot of that work. I've spoken at 500 conferences between all the insurance and construction conferences. I've now spoken to over 500 of those, and get to really geek out and talk tech with people every day, all day.
That's awesome. Now, I mean, are you in the weeds on the tech? Like, are you in programming, or are you more on the bigger picture and you've got a team that does the real work on that?
I've got about 300 employees now.
Wow.
So yeah, I've got 200 or so engineers. So yeah, I mean, believe it or not, I actually still build and ship prototype code. I don't, I don't dive into prod. If my team's working on something, I don't contribute and ship code on a production instance, because that's actually interfering more than helping when you're stepping in and out like that on a team. But as far as like building prototypes, I'll still build and ship code into test just to show what I'm thinking about and talking about. I mean, I was the original coder, and then I brought in my high school buddy Sebastian Costa, who he and I were the original coders, and we're the two partners that own JBK. So yeah, I still get my hands dirty, but I mean, we've got a pretty good sized team now that
Yeah,
gets things done.
is that onshore and offshore?
Well, we're near shore, so Sebastian's from Argentina, and that's where we have a large number of people. And then we have our U.S. office here in beautiful College Station, Texas, or as we call it, God's country. And then I've got some people in other countries, but I mean that's 95% of the people is the U.S. and Argentina. It's been that way for almost the entire life of the company. We wanted to have same time zone, similar culture, language, easy travel. Our clients love going down there. When they choose to go, they can visit their teams. And Argentina is an amazing country. It's like southern France or northern Italy, but in the Western Hemisphere. It's really quite amazing. I've gotten to go down there probably 27 times now, I think is my current count. I go a couple times a year and love it. It's
That's
and
great. Yeah, I
I'm
got to
I
know. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm fluent in Spanish, so it helps. When I was growing up, my parents sent me to live in Mexico for a couple summers with their friends, and then I used to go every year with them on medical mission work. Dad was a pilot, my mom was a pilot, my mom's dad was a pilot, and so we would hop in a small Piper Aztec and fly down to Mexico with a bunch of doctors and nurses and help out with free medical work. And I would triage or do the greeting center or whatever was needed, and I learned Spanish that way, and then stayed with our friends for a couple summers. And so it's really nice. It's amazing. I love Latin America, and like I love it a lot, and I love going down there. I still love Mexico. That's a real special place in my heart. Still love Argentina, and then have been exploring a lot of the other ones.
Hey everybody, it's Eric. I just want to pop in for a quick announcement. Exciting news. I just launched my new book on Amazon. It's called The Blueprint: An Insurance Agency's Unconventional Rise to the Top. And it goes through a little bit about how I built the agency Insured Solutions since 2009 to today. And the blueprint in terms of how I actually did it with the tech stack, the offshore, nearshore talent, and digital marketing techniques that I use. So pick up a copy today on Amazon. Thanks, guys. Yeah. My our firm's been doing work in Colombia with nearshore. It has been great, just the culture and that. And I'm used to using India for a long time, and then for that model, and then this nearshore is really cool concept. Being on the same time zone too.
Oh, okay.
As
Yeah, I mean
well.
Colombia is wonderful. I mean, one of my daughter's best friends is Colombian, and through her, I've gotten to know her friend's family, and they're fantastic. And I've met a ton of Colombians that go to Argentina too. It's all really nice. I mean, if people haven't traveled down there, they need to spend some time there.
Absolutely. And so I know one of the things we kind of refer or talked about before we got on is that agencies and MGAs currently have legacy systems for their agency management, for their CRMs, for I guess on the MGA side, the policy management, claims management. How do you recommend the integrate, dealing with this legacy models, and then especially with all the changes that are going so crazy in AI, to be able to to not have to throw out the baby with the bathwater, but just enhance it? Like, what's your recommendations normally for that?
Probably core systems, core underwriting
Yes,
models. Yeah, the reality is, I mean, AI has been wonderful, right? AI has accelerated the pace of development, and AI has helped us tackle things that previously we said we couldn't tackle, right? I mean, it's been really, really good at reading unstructured data and turning it into structured data. It's been really good at allowing us to mine 95% of the data that we couldn't mine before, and that's been really nice. So there's been a lot of benefits. The reality is, though, you still need a core system of record, right? I mean, and a lot of the older core systems of record are really good. Like, for what they are meant for, right? A lot of them, but they do need to be modernized, right? A lot of them are on-prem or they're on an AS400 infrastructure, and they can consistently process transactions, but they're not scalable. They're running on hardware that has to be still very expensive to maintain. The code is expensive to maintain. They really, the companies that run on them end up getting a little stuck on lines and states, right? Because expanding lines of business and states and bringing new product online can be challenging. And so we've definitely done a lot of takeovers. It's our managed maintenance group that comes in, and we like taking over old apps. If it's an old AS400 application, an old COBOL application, whatever it is, we come in and we can take over management of that. We can modernize the technology stack and leave the data structure and the rules in place. That's always something really particular. Is the cost of moving used to be a lot higher, and now thanks to data tools, artificial intelligence tools, whether it's our team at JBK, if we're taking it on as a managed maintenance engagement, or if it's our team at Terra that's actually migrating them into Terra, those two groups can really leverage artificial intelligence and non-AI automation tools. So let's be really clear. We can solve most of the problems in insurance without AI. Like over half of them we can solve with just good workflow software. All right. So AI is a force multiplier, and it helps us tackle the hairier jobs. Like here's 500,000 policy documents. Tell us everything you know about them. I mean that, and by the way, there's no structured data to back it up. I mean that's a wonderful job for a large language model. Or hey, let's predict the outcome of these of the total incurred on these work comp claims, or let's predict which work comp claims are going to be likely to need um, physical medicine, right? And then let's get that in sooner. So that's where I think it is particularly helpful. But I mean, look, a lot of the insurance industry was really early to move on to software solutions, and so they have that burden of legacy, right? That baggage they have to deal with, and so they either need to uplift it in a new system, or they need to take over and just upgrade it. And look, between my two companies, we handle both cases. If they just want to leave what's in place but have someone come over and take it over and upgrade it, then we do a lot of that. Or if they want to actually lift and shift it, stop hosting, stop managing servers, stop dealing with this really old software, we can help them with that too. So it's been a really um, good combination for a while. And there's a never ending list of challenges. The big challenge in insurance right now is that everybody around the people who are doing claims administration and policy underwriting want a lot more data. The brokers, and you're a wholesaler, but the brokers want a lot more data, the carriers want a lot more data, and the regulators want a lot more data. And so between those three, if you're a TPA or you're self-administered, especially on comp, and you have 50 state regulators plus Washington, D.C., plus all the other ones like federal, Jones Act, DBA work. You've got a lot of regulatory bodies demanding more and more data and more forms and more reporting. And so that's where I think a lot of the modern tooling is helping us keep up with the pace of regulatory change and the pace of data expansion. I mean, every major broker I know has a data aggregation project underway right now.
Really?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Wow. And then the going in just kind of digging back into, let's say, an MGA or a retail commercial insurance agency. They want to start sort of getting their feet wet with AI to streamline some processes. Obviously, those new tools that are coming out with like Claude Cowork, I think we can just verbally code, rather than doing the old days of having to know how to write code. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I was thinking play around and do it somewhat themselves, but like,
I,
is there like a reasonably priced person that a small agency could hire to just kind of be their AI guru and to say, and that the owner tell them or the MGA tell them, hey, here's 5 things I do, that I want to automate slash use a tool for rather than having to continually do
well,
like,
yeah.
go
Well,
ahead.
if it's retail brokers, I mean, there's some really good tooling companies that are set up to provide bolt-on AI tooling that integrates with AMS and Epic, right? Which top two solutions. My favorite one is called Power Broker. And if you're going to go in and you wanted to overlay AI tooling on all the common retail broker processes, I would just go to Power Broker, talk to Pat Cooney, and get them to help you out because they've pre-built a lot of the common tooling. Look, Claude's great, ChatGPT is great, and it does make people feel like they're a wizard, right? Like,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of challenges and pitfalls and potholes in using those without any engineering supervision, right? So it's kind of like when I'm a pilot, it's kind of like flying a new airplane without getting some transition training and understanding. Just because you're a pilot doesn't mean you can fly this plane. You might need some training on it. And I've seen people because large language models are what's called non-deterministic, meaning they don't return the exact same result every time. You can have two people run the exact same prompt on the exact same files, even at the exact same time, and actually receive different results. And that drives people bananas about LLMs when they really drive into it. It doesn't mean that both are incorrect. It means that they just slightly different ways of answering the question. My point is that it's very helpful if you can get a AI solution that's guardrailed around around those tasks. Whereas if all you're doing is just summarizing documents, or if you're just summarizing policies, and you're bringing in six policies and you want it to summarize all their coverages and look for gaps, believe it or not, the large language models off the shelf are pretty good at that. The question is, how are you going to bake it into your workflow? How are you going to standardize the prompts? How are you going to comply with everybody's data security requirements to make sure that your data is not being included for training purposes and it's opted out of abuse monitoring? So all of those are really important data security questions, which is why I tell people, if there's a specialized AI provider, like in the case of Power Broker, I would go look at that, because you're going to get something that's pre-integrated, that's already been tested for that particular space. And so that's my thought. It's powerbroker.ai, by the way, is the website for that. But it anyway, that's my point is, now if you want to build solutions, and you should actually look at that, like, how can you build custom solutions of AI? Well, certainly, in particular, if they're a carrier, a TPA, an MGA, or the like, or a self-insured group or fund or a captive, that's where we come in at JBK. We say, okay, we're going to build the data integrations to your existing infrastructure. Then we'll utilize all the AI tooling and framework to connect it with your system, and then we'll quality control it to make sure it can produce reasonably consistent results, right? And inside of all of the data privacy and security frameworks that apply to your business, because that's where people really get sideways sometimes.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, and like I guess too, I appreciate that tidbit there about Power Broker. I think that's important to have something off the shelf like that that's already ready to roll. But I guess what I'm speaking without sort of leaning towards, not necessarily tied in an AMS, but simple things really that, let's say, Claude or Claude Cowork is already set up to do, such as replying, doing draft emails and putting them in your draft replies, right? Doing these things you do every day, such as just doing vetting, preparing for a meeting that you've got on your calendar and going out and doing the research and bullets, so you're ready for your meeting. These are the things that is already built in, but still like trying to figure out how to get it all set and going. Some of it's easy, even I could do it, but other parts, you're right, there's potholes. Like I was trying to set up like a LinkedIn marketing approach to reach insurance agents. And I kept getting, and I thought I was doing it correctly, connecting into like a connect safely type portal. But then, I get this nasty gram from LinkedIn, that
Oh
you can't use bots, So
yeah, LinkedIn hates Claude Cowork.
yes, yes, yes. I can see that. And because I've been using offshore, paying $1,000 a month to do it manually, for all the data or connection requests, things like that, and follow up. So I was hoping I could automate that, right? But anyway, I know that's a little bit of a particular case, but you see what I mean? Like I could spend all these hours trying to figure this out, but I wish I had like someone at a reasonable cost to be my assistant and say, look, I want to automate this and that. Would you recommend that for your basic tasks and not necessarily that Power Broker is not necessarily set up for per se, or what do you think?
Yeah, well, the best thing to do when you want to know what Claude can do for you is to ask it and let it be your consultant. If you're talking about on a personal level, on a desktop level, that's quite a bit different. I'm not sure who, I can't give you names of companies, but that's a different step. Now I can tell you we have multiple automation initiatives underway right now at different clients, where we are literally going down to the desktop level and reviewing every single manual task that they perform. And we are then building automations largely using Microsoft's OpenAI API. So we're actually doing it at an enterprise level, not on a desktop tool like Claude Cowork. But I don't know of consultants that do that at a desktop level. I mean, Claude is the best consultant on Claude, on teaching you how to use it and how to do things that you want. But when you have a larger scale organization, you've got to have repeatable results, and they have to be secure. One of the challenges with Claude is that they refuse to sign, like, I can't put claim data in Claude. because Claude refuses to opt out their clients from abuse monitoring. And that's a key requirement of multiple carriers that are out there right now. And so you have to be really careful in knowing what your carrier requirements are. Who owns the actual data that you're using? Like, are you processing loss runs with this? Are you taking claim data? Because the broker doesn't own that, right? There's typically an argument between the insured and the carrier on who owns that, and they're pretty particular about which models that it's allowed to go in and what rules. And so that's why I would just say be careful, be cautious about what you're feeding into this and how,
No,
because
absolutely.
you may run afoul of rules that you don't even know that exist that apply to you. And so there's that. And I don't know of consultants that come in just and help people on a one-on-one. I mean, I do a lot of that with my clients just individually. Like, hey, did you know that cowork can do this? Like, did you know that you don't have to fill out web forms ever again? Like, ever? Did you know that you can have Claude Cowork use your web browser for you? It can do research for you. It can prepare PowerPoints. It can revise your PowerPoint deck. It can revise your proposals, and then it does a really pretty good job of quality control too. So it's pretty remarkable capabilities that it has. So, but I learned that by asking Claude. I asked it what it could do, and then it told me, and then it showed me, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, it writes a whole document on it. I keep forgetting that you can ask it to do that, to put the whole plan together and then you can
Yeah, yeah,
tweak it
you
to,
yeah
yeah,
you shouldn't ever write your own prompt. You should have Claude write your prompt for Claude, and
agreed.
that's like a fundamentally different thing. You know, is that's really really important.
Yeah, and I think speaking of the nearshore, offshore, getting it set up with a team sort of an arrangement where, once let's say these projects or dashboard are built to do these repeatable tasks that need to be done by the whole agency, then, having even the offshore, nearshore handle some of the requests too, using their team version of Claude, right? So kind of integrating them into the process of some, again, simple tasks that just are repeatable that agents and MGAs need to do and use every day across the whole agency
Yeah.
as well. So as far as, yeah, and I like, by the way, congrats on how you set up your structure on Terra. I looked at the website and I like how you're doing the pricing per claim and no, upfront cost. You just
Yeah.
took away a huge objection to,
Yeah.
to someone working with you and having to make a huge decision. They could just go.
Yeah, they can sign up for $80. I know that sounds crazy,
Yes.
but they can literally, if they have one claim, they can pay us $80 on a credit card and have a claim system.
I know this is not the use case technically for it, or maybe it is. I don't know. You know how many larger agencies on the, let's say, more agencies than, let's say, MGAs, or I mean, our wholesalers are doing it, but having their own claims, shadowing and servicing departments within the agency. Have you seen agencies use Terra for that?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, they generally call it their claim oversight division. And that's where they like to get a data feed, and then they replicate the data from their claims handlers into their system. They do it, partly so they can make their renewals easier because they have all the loss run data to do their renewals, which is nice.
Right.
They also do it so they can babysit big claims. I mean, it's part of the value add. They want to be sticky, right? Brokers don't want to be replaceable. And when you're a commission broker, if you have a risk manager change out or you have a key decision maker leave that was your decision maker, then your whole your whole book of business is at risk because whoever comes in to replace them might have their best friend that's their broker. And so you in general want to be stickier than just one relationship. And so that's why I've seen a lot of them go into claims handling where you'll actually report the claim to the broker, they'll report it out to the carrier, or they'll report it out to whoever's handling it, the TPA, and then they babysit the claim and they'll check on it, provide reporting for their clients. They'll call out things that they're seeing in the claims where they're providing a second set of eyes, almost like an owner's rep. I typically only see that with like larger employers, right? Um, just because of the amount of energy and effort that it takes to do that kind of oversight. But Yeah, I think it's a great move for a broker. You want to add more value than just buying the insurance, right?
Right. And it gets, the data could be voluminous if you're a huge agency, like the ones I've seen offer this service. So are you just configuring this then if like let's say a large retail agent wanted to use this, are you reconfiguring it so that they're not really a TPA? They're not going to be
Yeah, well,
processing claims. So
we we turn off payments and we turn off regulatory reporting. So I mean that's everything else is the same, right? That like they'll see the payments, but they're not going to make payments because they're not adjudicating the claim. They're not going to change the reserves. So a bunch of stuff goes into read only status. You still brokers in that case still need to be able to post files and post notes. But they don't change reserves and they don't make payments.
does
And
it
so
offer any kind of special information about the claim and like the direction that, let's say, that claims oversight manager who might be handling that large claim for the customer or working with the client, kind of babysitting it with the carrier and the claims adjusters there and the client, and are there tools already built in to help to give some data on what's
yeah,
going
there's
on?
yeah, there's reporting and trend analysis, and there's some things in there that help you identify low, medium, and high risk claims because that's really what you're wanting to do in an oversight. But to be fair, our self-insured funds and self-insured groups look for the same thing, right? They want a risk analysis. They want low, medium, high risk. They want total incurred prediction of total incurred predictions ranges. That kind of risk scoring, risk analysis is common between brokers and self-insureds. They really care about it a lot.
Got you. And then anything that you are working on for let's say the front end in terms of kind of using the technology for, let's say, taking on a prospective client, figuring out, what their problems are and how, to mitigate those.
Well,
Or does that exist more than an AI tool at this
that
point?
would be that I would say that would be more of an AI tool for specifically for brokers. That we're building the core tech around claims and policy. So you're talking about something that helps you just take a giant data dump from the client, all their old policies and all their old loss runs, and then give you some insight. I mean, by the way, I do that with my clients using the core foundational models, and we'll sit there and just poke holes in their coverages and say, hey, you're totally uncovered on these lines. And that I think that's something that the foundational models are getting pretty right now.
And
It's
then I
good.
guess
They're
an
good.
MGA has to do the underwriting piece,
Yeah, we
on,
we have a full underwriting suite. So I mean, if they're an MGA,
okay.
they're going to use Terra for doing quote, bind, pay, rate, underwrite, issue, renew, cancellation, all that. So that's our policy system, and that's well, pub policy, underwriting, billing, right? It's all together, and that they're going to use an actual deterministic software there to make sure they're covering all the bases and they're calculating all their rates correctly because they're having to produce a quote, right? So they're doing more than just risk analysis. They're then quoting the risk.
And then your system on that level can do the risk analysis from an underwriting point to kind of guide that underwriter, how to evaluate this risk.
Yeah, we have all the rating algorithms, and then we have the where it pulls in all the data and all the questionnaires, and then it helps them identify the risk factors and such. So yeah, it's that, but that's if you're doing full underwriting, which would an MGA would be doing. They have power.
Gotcha.
If they have power of the pen, they're gonna be writing the policy.
Yes, yes, got you. And then in terms of the industry for the future, kind of looking ahead right now, do some predictions of what you're seeing is going to happen. I know that cohort hit and that seemed to, really make things take off, from an AI point, and then and people were very impressed with that, how easy that was to utilize. What else are you seeing like that, that's going to be like this huge game-changing scenario,
Well, we're seeing as better prediction models, but remember, large language models predict the next letter in a word and the next word or the next word in a sentence is what they predict. That's why you can watch them write because they're predicting each word as they think. Very similar to the way our brains work, but The other area of AI that's really active is machine learning, deep learning, and you get into neural networks and cost prediction models, and that's where you're actually trying to predict more accurately predict outcomes. And the more sophisticated machine learning models get, and the more powerful that the processing gets, the more criteria that we can factor in as an industry into our future forward-looking predictions. And so instead of using just a math formula, we're going to be using advanced machine learning models that adapt to changing data sets and can factor in every single field in a loss run when you're quoting a risk, right? So I mean that's where I think it gets really interesting. I think you're going to see much more accurate claim prediction, cost prediction, and underwriting in the future because we're not going to be just shelf rating everything, right? Like you're going to really deep dive on every single field of every single claim on a loss run. In your decision on the decision to renew them or underwrite them or the quote process, I mean there you can factor in a lot more data now. Um and on claims, you can factor in the doctor's notes and saying, hey, this reserve needs to go up. Somebody told their doctor that they don't intend to go back to work. And that made its way into a note, which made its way into a file, which made its way into the claim file. And now we can rip through and read that. And we can say, hey, we got a big flag on this claim. They don't intend to go back to work. And Eric, if you know comp like I do, that means they're probably not going to go back to work.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, and that's a problem. So I'd say that's probably the biggest area.
Got you. And then, kind of giving advice now for agents and for MGAs to kind of future-proof things at their agency from a tech perspective or operations point, other than the good advice about, tapping into tools that are already out there, but anything else you can think of that would help agents get ready, for upgrading for the future?
Well, the most important thing every agent can do is actively use tools like Claude Chat, Claude Cowork, even Claude Code, Claude Design for their marketing literature and PowerPoints. Um, Using tools like ChatGPT, which has new versions like Codex, where you can actually build your own solutions, and then using like Gemini, which I use the heck out of Gemini for graphics, images, and video. Personal use is the most important thing. Like they need to take some personal time and not go play golf that day or whatever it is they would do with that personal time and spend a few hours deep diving on how they can actually use it themselves because it's going to make them a far more effective professional. I think that's the most important thing they can do. It's not just use it at a surface level, like deep dive on prompt engineering and using AI to build AI prompts and then using those AI prompts and then like build your first scheduled tasks in Claude Cowork, and then take those outputs and then do something with them and then trigger alerts and send yourself emails and then I really you can tell a really distinct difference between those who just go to chatgpt.com or you go to Copilot in Office and ask a question and treat it like Google versus those who really deep dive on this new tool's capabilities.
PNC agents, have you run into Byberg, which is a Berkshire Hathaway company quoting workers' comp for either your prospects or clients? Well, great news. Insured Solutions, a national MGA, has an appointment that is set up to allow you to quote, bind, and service Byberg at your agency. And the coverage is in all states. It's A-rated. Startups are even accepted. There's $125,000 maximum premium. And some of the tough industries they write are construction, transportation that includes towing and parcel delivery, manufacturing, security guards that are armed and unarmed, motor mediation, and many more. So go to our website at insuredsolutions.net, click the Get Appointed link. We'll get you logins for you and your team and can set up a webinar for training if you'd like. Also, feel free to email info@insuredsolutions.net and I can handle the submission myself, or call 770-402-5343. Be glad to speak to you and give you more detail. Thanks. Yes, yes. I've been, like I said, it's taken me a minute because I didn't want to take the time. I've been using it, like you mentioned, more of a search tool. Then when Cowork came out, I started playing around, putting in the connectors of Excel, Word, PowerPoint, Airtable, and Zoom info to get data, on prospective agents or clients. So it made it pretty easy, but there's a learning curve, but you're right. If you just do a little bit of it occasionally, it just starts to build up. So totally agree with that. Um, and I know you got a lot of, what's your next conference coming up? I think I heard Layla was talking earlier about some
Oh yeah.
conference.
Well, I'll be. So I love speaking at conferences. Always have a great time. InsureTech Insights in New York City the first week of June. I was just at InsureTech Insights Europe in London over spring break in March with my oldest daughter, who's a NYU student. Shout out to Annabelle. Hey, Annabelle. She and I went to London, and I went to the conference, and we went to West End shows. Um, and the really great thing is that that same wonderful huge conference will be in New York the first week of June. August is always WCI for me in Orlando. I mean, what greater place to play golf than Orlando in the middle of the summer, where you might die? Which is I'll be at the Kids Chance Golf Tournament, which is amazing golf tournament for an amazing cause. We'll be at WCI, and then I think in October is it October? No, September. I'll be at both these things are happening at the same time again. ITC, InsureTech Connect, ITC, and National Comp are in Vegas at the same time again, which happened 2 years ago. Last year, National Comp was in Vegas. No, it was in Nashville. Now it's back in Vegas. So, kind of my next four conferences are InsureTech Insights, and then, WCI National Comp and ITC. And then there,
Are you speaking any of these or just
yeah,
attending?
no, I'm speaking at a few of them. Yeah, yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. Either moderating a panel or participating in a panel or giving a speech, and then I've got some other broker conferences that are private conferences that I don't publish on the website that I'll be at in between those, where I come in and talk about technology topics, and so I've got a couple of those that just got booked, and then just spoke at a REMS regional conference, and so there's other ones that are not like the big national conferences that I travel out and speak at on a regular basis. They're a lot of fun. There's a lot of really great conferences put on by a lot of great brokers. I mean, to be honest, some of the more fun conferences are broker conferences that bring all their clients in, but those are private events for their customers.
Right, right. That makes sense. And then how about your podcast?
Yeah.
Anything new going on there that you
Always,
want to promote?
always. We managed to dig up and scour up some of the great technology talent that's inside of big insurance companies on a regular basis. And so I just did some interviews in London in March that I was really, really, really pleased with. Met some amazing people in the insurance scene in Europe that I just never would have met without podcasting or attending some of these conferences. And then we did some similar on sites at RIMS. So that'll be coming out soon. Interesting. One of them with a London based carrier, and so. I keep circling back on the Brits, but they do play an important role in the insurance industry, and so we've got some great episodes coming up. We drop two a month, so we have about 24 episodes a year that we drop and have a great time with. So that's the podcast scene. That's the conference scene. There's some other broker level. Like I'd really want to go to target markets this year if I can get around to it. And I don't know what are your favorite conferences that you get to go to every year?
Um, I've slowed down a little bit on it, but I did enjoy the ITC in Vegas. It was actually a couple of years ago on that one. And then I've just been lately to more, like you were saying, broker private events recently, like by Marsh in the regional area, inviting their clients and carrier partners. And so I tend to like that a little better, than the big ones. But I need to get back on the circuit again, I think. on that. And then, James, if anybody has any questions for you on technology, AI, your tools specifically with Terra, and just, pick your brain, what's the best way to get in touch with you? Obviously, listen to the podcast of your InsureTech Geek as well. But how do people get in touch?
Yeah, sure. So you can go to jamesbenham.com. Last name is BENHAM.com. Hit me up on LinkedIn. That's really the only social network that I play on is LinkedIn. So hit me up there. You can find me at James. I think it's jbenham 01 or something. It's my username. Just search for James Benham on LinkedIn. You'll find me, or go to jamesbenham.com. The company name is JBK. The domain is jbknowledge.com. Terra is the other company. That's terra.insure. And as always, just hit me up if you want my email, james@jbknowledge.com. You can just email me. Real easy to find. And I go to a lot of conferences. I have not slowed down on conferences, so I really really enjoy those, and enjoy getting around the country and meeting everybody. Insurance is a trust business. It's a face-to-face business, the person-to-person business, and it's a lot of fun getting in person with people.
Well, that's great. Well, James, I appreciate you coming on and taking time out of your busy schedule, and look forward to talking to you again as well.
All right, thanks, Eric. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks again for tuning in to Insurance Shop Talk. If you enjoyed our deep dive into the latest trends, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Until next time, I'm Eric Stein, and this has been Insurance Shop Talk.